Reality Team TV. We're back. We're back. We're back for sure. Kerry, welcome to the Red Chair. How you feeling?
I'm okay, thank you. How are you?
I'm absolutely amazing, How was your journey from Manchester?
Oh, it was mad. I had to get two coaches, so that was different, but it was cool. It was cool.
It was good. I hear you. Even I'm just gonna get this one out the way straight from the get-go, yeah? The elephant in the room. You fucking lied to me about today. Hey, guys, you know what she said to me about today? She said today, every underground in London's gonna be shut down.
No, I didn't lie.
Who fucking lied to you?
I didn't
Mate,
lie.
who fucking lied to you?
I'm not speaking on names.
Mate,
I didn't
who
lie.
fucking lied to you?
I looked, I checked it.
More Birmingham than Manchester.
I checked it. It
Yeah.
was meant to be, but then they retracted it and took it off.
Okay.
So I didn't lie.
Because obviously I was kind of not panicking, but I thought I was gonna take the long way to go to the city today, yeah. And when I went to the train station, everything was normal. I was thinking, that fucking liar, bro. I was spending the whole night thinking how am I gonna get there quicker, whatever. The zone as well.
What zone?
Yeah.
And where you're going.
No, it was all of it. It was meant to be all of it, but
Yeah.
they retracted it and took it back.
All right, you know what? All right, cool. So you didn't lie.
I think it's hilarious that you was overthinking all night. And
No, I was literally overthinking just there with my thing how am I gonna? This is because obviously trains are quicker, innit? But you know what?
I just skipped it all and got a taxi.
So basically, you didn't lie. The news lied.
No, they retracted it.
What's retracting? My English is
took
quite
it,
bad.
They took it back. They changed it. They
Okay.
changed the plan.
Okay, cool.
But even if it did happen, just it is what it is, isn't it?
I know. But yeah, Kerry, this conversation has been well overdue, innit? Of course, one of the main topics is going to be about obviously mental health.
Yeah.
For the people that don't really know you, yeah, obviously take us as far back as you could, yeah. When did you personally for you, yeah? When did you start experiencing your own personal mental health issues?
So when I was a kid, I didn't realise it was mental health. Obviously, you don't. So when I was in school, I always struggled. I was just one of them kids that used to not be able to stay in the classroom, always getting kicked out. Just when they're telling me to stand up in class and read a book, my mind kept going. I'm like, I can't do this, and I used to argue to get kicked out just so I couldn't do it. When I was in school, I was always fighting, and I just knew that I was different to other people. I couldn't fit in. I was always going around the crowd. I had a few different friend groups, and I just couldn't stay in a certain friend group because I just didn't feel like I fit with people. And I didn't know then that I know now that because I was switching different personalities, so sometimes I could be around them people and sometimes I couldn't, and then people's energies around me can set me off. But I had to learn all that afterwards. In 2009 is when I was pregnant with my third child, and that's when I started dealing with psychosis, disillusions and stuff like that. My mind was tripping so bad that I had to go to mental health, but it was a long struggle because when you're trying to explain to a GP, because that's the first protocol, they don't want to listen. They just want to give you anxiety tablets, sleeping tablets, and they give me that. And for me, at that time, I didn't have no diagnosis. So at the start of it, it was hard because they're giving me this medication that was making me then numb. So I always heard different voices in my head. And I kept saying this. And then when they give me medication, which is anxiety tablets and sleepers, it was making me stay awake, not sleep. So then I'm running on no sleep. And then I couldn't hear my voices, so I didn't know what was happening. So then I started acting out more. So if I'm walking down the street, someone looked at me in a certain way, I'm straight away pulling them, like, what the fuck are you looking at? Stuff like that. Don't know if you've got to cut that out.
That's so cool. Everybody swears.
Yeah, so I was reacting too much, and it was getting me in situations, and I had kids, and then I'm dealing with, outside professionals that are trying to say, you can't be acting like this, you need to be doing this, but they're not understanding how it is for me. And I'm going to the professionals saying, but you don't understand how it's feeling for me, and you're not listening to what I'm saying is going on inside my head. So eventually, over a 7-year period, I finally then started getting assessed properly, started getting CBT, DBT. Still no diagnosis. They didn't understand what was going on. I've been in and out of mental hospitals, which was hard because in that I've had to leave my kids to put me first, my health first, to then be a mum, to make myself healthy, to look after my kids. But then by doing that, people who's been in that situation will know, by doing that, then the professionals then use that against you. And then...
By the way, let me just quickly say something,
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you, Me, when you see me on my phone, I'm probably listening, I'm just, sometimes when you say certain things, I just want to make a note of them, so I can go back to it. So it's not because I'm not listening, I'm just...
No, it's good.
You're making notes of some of the things.
So then when they're telling you you've got to do the right thing for you, for your mental health, to then be a stable parent for your children, yeah? But then when you do that, then they try to use that in their evidence to try and then use that against me.
That you're not a
to
fit
say
mother.
that I'm not being there and I'm not a fit mum because I'm in the mental hospital. So it took me years of analysing and learning the system and the way they work to then be able to fight against them. So I did that, and at one point, so that's a long period, so over 7 years I was really struggling. It took a really bad episode that I had where I committed a crime in 2012, and then I went into hospital and I lost my children for a little while I was in hospital. They had to stay with local authority. And then when I came out, I had one diagnosis, which was borderline personality disorder. And that is where, if people don't know, it's where your emotions flip too fast. So you have bipolar, which is a little bit different. BPD is more where your emotions flip too fast, and you have, I call it the lucky bag of mental health, because it's basically little bits of every disorder in one. So there's post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, psychosis, there's signs of ADHD, autism, hypermanic, which hypermanic I do struggle with a lot.
Well, like schizophrenia as well.
No, not schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is not in it, but the psychosis and disillusional and stuff like that is in there. And then go forward more years, I got diagnosed with multiple personality disorder. So that was another incident that happened where the police were involved, and I nearly went to prison for 6 years for that. It wasn't kind of like something that I wanted to happen, but no one was listening to me. I was always fighting for the right help, and that's what hurts me, because I was asking for help. I was asking to be diagnosed. I was asking for them to give me answers of what's going on in my head. They didn't click on until 7 years of all this that I've got a personality disorder. They did say schizophrenia at first, but I was like, no, the voice outside me, they're inside my head, and it's not, and I black out and stuff like that. So when they were giving medication, I couldn't hear the voices, so I couldn't know what's coming, because you're blocking out these medication. And then when they stopped giving me medication when I was in hospital, then they seen the switches then, which is different personas, different personalities, different dress sense. And it can be really dangerous for when my mind's like that. If I'm stressed, that's really bad for me. Because when I'm stressed, I'm more heightened, which means the personalities will come out faster and I'll trip more. So now I've got my second diagnosis, and this is when I lost my kids for about a year. So I've lost my children now for a year because I committed suicide. So I say I committed suicide, and I say that clearly.
You tried to.
No, I didn't try to. Listen to what.
Oh wow.
So I committed suicide. So that personality that was out was the abandoned child who got abused when I was younger. That's my story.
Oh,
So
wow.
they that personality was out. They committed suicide. Not me, Kerry, who's speaking. That personality committed. Yeah.
That one's now
So-
in the heavens. That one don't exist anymore.
No, it exists.
Well,
It's
yeah,
just
but not
he.
in that
It's not in that.
physical sense.
Yes, not in
yeah.
that. So they basically half healed because they killed that pain that they was holding on to, that was making me be suicidal for so many years, because they were struggling with that pain of what happened to them. So after 2016, when I come back out of hospital and I've got the court case and I'm fighting for my children back, now the professionals are like, you're too unstable to have your kids. And they was using all these things. I'm like, tell me one time that I put my kids in danger. Tell me one time that you're not trying to make up. So I had all the paperwork, so I had to highlight everything and I had to counteract everything that they said. And I said, not once did my kids get put in danger. So they tried to use what happened on the day was I took my children to the professionals and left them there. And then I went, because my head was going, I knew that the kids couldn't be with me at the moment because I couldn't control what was happening with my switches. So to me, in my defence, I felt like I did the right thing in my view, that I put my kids in a safe place. In their view, which I do understand, they said, but I still abandoned them. That's what they see it. But I said, but in that serious situation, that was high risk for me. So you're professional. So I put them with someone I know who's DBS checked. I know you're safe. They know you. So that was the battle in the court case.
I think it's about finding out what you mean by abandon.
Yes.
You know, they've got a different kind of
Termination of
thing to
abandon.
it, and then we have, because I'm sure if anyone with common sense, you know, I'm not well, and I've got kids with me, I may as well. It's like taking them to your sister's house. Like, my sister's more stable than I am right now, so am I abandoning my kids when I take them to my sister's because I'm not feeling well?
Because as far as I know, abandoning your kids is literally like you not being,
leaving them,
you just basically being in your house, you know, mentally all over the place, not taking care of them, and just leaving them. You get me, leaving them there, rather than you actually coming up to a conclusion, saying, you know what, I need to actually take them somewhere where they can actually get looked after while I sort myself out, innit?
Well, it was why I killed myself, isn't it? So, to me, I knew that was coming because the voices are telling me, and I knew I couldn't control it no longer. So that's what happened. So to me, like you just said, that was the argument that we was having. So my terminology that I said to them, would you have rather me keep my kids with me in my home and committed suicide and then find their mum dead? So the choice that I made, weigh up the options. My choices was leave the kids there and commit suicide in front of my kids and damage them for the rest of life, or take them to a safe place with someone who's professional and DBS checked, and I know that they're going to be okay and they're not going to see that damage that I can't control no more at that moment in time.
One of them is
And I said, this one is abandonment and neglect, and this one was my safer option. Even though in your terminology that was abandonment, I get that and I understand and I take your point of view, but it wasn't in my scenario. In my scenario, I did the best choice for me and my kids, and it's sad that my life had to carry on being traumatic to get to that point, which I held accountability, and I kept putting myself in situations, relationships, you know, having children, carried on having children, being in relationships, because I wasn't getting the help from mental health. So they weren't educating me of my triggers and triggers that I'm self-sabotaging myself by keep repeating past trauma, by putting myself around people that are going to keep triggering my head, by putting myself in situations where so every time I'm ill, if I've got stress or I'm pregnant and my hormones are changing because of pregnancy, it can make me more unstable. I didn't have my diagnosis, so I didn't know that's what was going on. So because I didn't have all the answers, I kept doing things that was putting me in situations that was triggering me more. It was only after all these events happened and I lost my kids for a year and I had to fight them back that I finally got personality therapy. So
that's bad,
that it's hard because it upset me a lot then, because it's like, right, you use professionals are meant to be there to help, and you preach that you help, but there's loads of red tape that you didn't help. You just made me fight into a corner. And the way I see it is, I was in a, you know, you're in a hole and you fall and there's no ladder to get out and you're crawling to get out. That's how 7 years of my life was.
And you just, you
yeah,
know.
I was in the ditch and I couldn't get out, and my kids are at the top and these professionals are shouting in and my kids are there and there's love, and I'm looking outside this hole and I'm looking up and I'm trying to reach it, but I can't because I'm sinking and I'm sinking.
Dangling the carrot.
Yeah.
Basically, and the carrot is your kids. Basically,
yeah.
Like they're basically using your
but then
kids
the authorities are cutting the string. So every time I'm trying to reach the safety and the stability, the authorities are putting, or mental health are putting these things in, and to me then they're cutting the string a little bit, or they're pulling the carrot back up, so I'm not reaching it because they're putting another scenario in the place that I've got to do this and I've got to reach their goal. So a big thing for me now is I don't meet no one's expectations. You meet mine. Because if they want me to meet theirs, I'm not going to be able to, because you're not me. And you don't know how my mind is. I can only protect myself away from things that can trigger me. So you don't know what are my triggers. I know what are my triggers. I know what that keeps me stable. So when I got my children home, I got 2 of them home, and then one went and lived with the father, which was hard for me to deal with as a mum. Having one child lived with the father, and then one child went into local authorities care, because because I've got my disorder and because my child has a disorder, well, he has ADHD and autism, he won't mind me saying. So they said that basically I wasn't able to look after him because I'm not a professional, and I don't know how to look after him because I'm not professional to manage him. So that was in 2016. Roll to 2021. I have, in that whole time, got myself stable, got 2 children at home. I see my other child. I always seen the child that was in care. I never stopped seeing my child. Like, I was always there for him. And then my daughter, sometimes, you know, me and her dad, it's hard, you know, me and her dad didn't get on sometimes to be the best parents that we should have been. You know, I'm glad now that we've got that, because that's all I wanted, but because of the hurt from the situation, it was hard to get that balance. We finally got it now, so contact is complete now. It's you know, it's great. But with my son, they were saying that I'm not professional to look after him. So in my mindset, I'm like, right, okay, so I need to tick boxes. So my life's been ticking boxes ever since. So I put myself on courses to do an ADHD course and autism course, mental health course. I became a mental health peer mentor. I got stable myself. I made sure I stayed in situations where I can handle it, like friendship groups. You know, I just stayed at home. Not like I didn't have an issue with drinking out and drugs or anything, but there was a past, like 2012 before that was impacting on my mindset. So I made sure, like, I didn't put myself in situations that were going to trigger me more.
Good thing you didn't need to.
Yeah, because it could have gone down that path. Because part of my disorder is addictiveness.
Yeah.
So I took everything away from me that could jeopardize me while I got stable. So my focus now was, I had 4 children at this time. So 2 didn't live with me and 2 dead. So my focus was to get 4 of them back home. I didn't succeed on getting 4 of them back home. I got 3 of them back home eventually. And then I had another child, and then my 4th one, I see her a lot. So she lives with her dad still, which is fine, because, you know, it doesn't matter in a way. Like, people used to say to me, and I used to always think about it as a mum, you know, how does it, like, it hurts as a mum not having one child live with you a bit, but, you know, what works for other people isn't for everyone. And at the end of the day, my daughter is happy, and her dad does look after her. And
that's what you can ask for, isn't it?
and that's, yeah, and at a time, I didn't think he was looking after her emotions properly because of the contact situation. And he's heard me now. So last year, he's heard me on that, and he's apologised for that. So I have to say, I'm glad that he has, and I'm glad that I could apologise to him, for the way that I then triggered him and made him feel a certain way, because of the way he thought he was doing the best in his situation, and I thought I was doing the best in mine. And we've had to come to we clashed, we clashed. But even though we were clashing, the main focus for us both was actually our child.
Yeah, that's it.
But we had to find a middle ground. And, you know, last year was the best time because we both apologised to each other. And he apologised for some things that I'm not going to go into, because I don't want to put him out there like that, because at the end of the day, we've come past that. But he apologised for them stuff that hurt me a lot and hurt my children. And he said to himself he didn't intentionally. And he held accountability for it hurting me, but took accountability back, saying I didn't intentionally do that though. So I believe that he didn't. So I respect that. So I'm not going to mention the details. So then 2021, my son came back, which was like a really big achievement, because the professionals were saying like I couldn't do it. And you know, then I started working part-time, and this is where the modelling, acting and, you know, stuff comes into it. So I started my page on social media at first as an outlet for my personalities to come out. So my personalities needed an outlet, because sometimes it gets too full in my head. And I was like, right, I need to figure out how I can get my personalities to come out in a safe way. So instead of, because say one of them is bad because of suicidal and low depression.
Of course.
So that's obviously negative, I guess. One of them is violently bad, and explosive and hypermanic, which sometimes people don't realise being hypermanic is all fun and games and laughing.
You laugh, yeah.
But
There's a
sometimes
there's
it's
a
not
danger to
good.
it.
Yeah, that's a, yeah.
Yeah,
There's
because
a big danger to that. I know a few people that
Yeah,
are like
yeah.
that.
yeah, because then you might be drinking too much or partying too much, or you might be shopping too much, which is mine, impulsive shopping. But you know, at least I look good. But yeah, so with that, I had to find outlets for my different personalities to be able to come out in a safe environment, which is going to keep me stable as a mum and my kids in a safe home environment. So I've come up with the Instagram page and the modelling. So what I did is I let my personalities come out in the images or like released in certain ways. So I go to the club not to drink. So one of my personalities likes to dance. They like that kind of environment. They're like 20 odd. That's Roxy, by the way. So that's my social name, Roxy-Basham.
Very young.
Yeah, so they're 20 odd. So I'm 34. Kerry is 34, mum. Roxy is like 20 odd. And she likes obviously clubbing and stuff like that. So
Sorry, one second, yeah.